Welcome back to The Varied Life. I'm Steve, the retired hobby tech guy, and today we'll be looking at masking images and shapes and printing small hexes. So let's get to it. Hey everybody, welcome back to The Varied Life channel. Steve here, the retired hobby tech guy, and today, as we are retired in Korea, practicing a little bit more on Lightburn, my rinky-dink little 5-watt laser engraver that we have in the background. We'll take a look at that. But I want to show you what I'm doing and experimenting with different shapes and colors. So as we can see here, what we end up with, a bunch of hexagons that were put together in this final shape. And you could apply an image to a shape or mask to that image, or put a image mask to the shape. Yeah, something like that, where the image goes onto the shape that you make. Well, what I ended up doing is getting a bunch of hexes and made them together. And yeah, was able to get that right there. So it turned out pretty cool. And then I saw, as I was perusing the interwebs, I saw somebody who did a number of hexagon slate tiles. And they laid out all these slate tiles, and then they put an image on there. And of course, it engraved that image onto all those separate tiles that were put together in this shape. So I thought, hey, that's even cooler, because then when you put all the slate tiles together, you get the overall picture. Yeah, that looked really cool. I can't really do that because the engraving area on my present laser is, yeah, 80 millimeters by 80 millimeters, which is 3.14 inches square. And yeah, you can't get a bunch of tiles, plate tiles, coasters in there. So I'm just kind of practicing on the G.I. Joe small version. And so I did this to see how this would turn out. Of course, it could be a little bit darker, so I adjusted that. We're actually printing out or engraving another version of this. So it's going to be the version 2. And yeah, I want to show you what we got going on. So with that, let's take a look. So basically, here we are in Lightburn, and what I ended up doing is getting the hexagon tool, which is this one right here, hold down shift, and I was able to make a hexagon. And then I just kind of placed them all kind of like what we end up seeing here. So all the sides are touching. And then what I ended up doing is making a offset and came up with this shape here. So kind of joined, and then anything that was on the inside, I was able to clip those out. Had to clean it up a little bit, but it worked out fairly well. So yeah, that's how I ended up doing that. And we'll get rid of that, and we'll get rid of that. And now the masking part came into play. So I'll show you how I ended up doing that. So we'll get a copy of this. I'll put this over here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So basically, this will get the outline on there. And what we'll end up doing is we'll go over here, and we'll pick, I don't know, we'll pick this right here, and we'll use this image, AI generated whoosy whatsy thing that we got going on, and we could do something like that. So, but now what we end up doing is we'll just left click and drag, so we get both of those, and we right click and we go down to apply mask to image. So now that image that we have has been applied, the image has been applied to that shape. And if we just click on this, then we can move this around. We could actually make it bigger or smaller, whatever it is, into, actually, that's not bad looking. You know, I want to try to get rid of, because it was kind of made up as a coaster, so I can try to play around with this a little bit, kind of get those edges out there, try to keep the moon in the center, and I think we're good to go there. So yeah, something like that. And then once all of these is in the desired position that you want, then you right click and flatten mask image to the mask. And so there we have our shape. So that's was kind of practice thing. What I ended up doing was this one here, printed that out, and that is what we got with this guy here. And then I want to take it a step further to see if what we do with this is I ended up taking all the hexagons and just making sure that the lines overlapped, and this red is going to indicate our cut line. And then I just kind of put the picture down first, and then I put the red line and the cutout on top of that. So yeah, if we look over here, that's the cut line, that's the image. And as long as I make sure that the cut line here is below the image, what we'll end up seeing when we do the preview is we go in here to the slider, and it'll engrave all of this first, and then it'll go back and you can see that it's making the cuts for each of those hexagons, and it's going to go through and do like 4 passes because I have a cheap machine. So yeah. So yeah, that's what it's going to end up being. And we're actually printing this, or I guess engraving and cutting this out right now. So we'll see how this turns out. But yeah, kind of some interesting stuff if you want to take some shapes. I got some different stuff here, like a dragon. That would be pretty cool on slate coasters. Imagine having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, however many slate coasters it ends up being. No, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 coasters. That would be really cool, especially with the dragon and stuff like that. So that's what we got going on. And if we go and take a look at our engraver, and again, this is just a cheap little Wayne Lux K10. And we will take a little bit of a closer look here to see how we're doing. And I increased the power on that so we can get a little bit of a darker engraving. And so you can see that's turning out pretty good. So yeah, that's what we got going. So we'll continue to let this do its thing. You can see there. And unfortunately, it's going to be a while for me to get a larger engraver because I have to wait and get certification. So until then, I get to play with my G.I. Joe sized laser engraver to do what we're doing here. So yeah, I'm still playing around. Yeah, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Appreciate that. I've got some other little things. I did some test runs on checking, colors and gradients, and then even made a jig for dog tags because I've printed some dog tags out. But yeah, it's going to be a few more months until I can actually get a larger size engraver. So we're hoping for the one laser, and we'll see how that works. Okay, we're finishing up, and we should be almost done here. Sort of done. Okay, so we'll do a little bit of a puzzle thing here. And we know the head goes up there. So, yeah, there it is. We ended up doing our little practice session there with our different tiles, at least with the image. And that would be so cool to be able to do this on slate tile. So yeah, I'm looking interested in how that would turn out. So yeah, from that right there to that right there, and using image masking, and I think it turned out pretty good. So there you have it. That's what we have going on. Playing around with the mini K10 Wayne Lux, which is a cheap Barney Basic, very Barney Basic entry-level laser. Matter of fact, I've had it coming up on 3 months, I think. And I've noticed a decline in the amount of power, even though I clean the lens and all that stuff. It's just not something that would probably last a long time with the high amount of use that I have put it through. Yeah, it might be for a kid thing, middle school type of, if you're not going to do much, like I said, it's maybe 180, 190, $200. But hey, it was free. I ended up getting to do a review. It works out well, but as far as longevity, in my opinion, based on the results that I've gotten, the Wainlex K10 is already decreasing in power and having some problems. The CutLab X software that comes with it is really, really lacking. That's why I use the Lightburn. Just so many more bells and whistles with that. And yeah, probably never use CutLab X ever again. And if the laser system doesn't or is not compatible with Lightburn, that would really cause me pause, unless it was like Xtool. I think Xtool has some of the better proprietary software in regards to laser engraving. They're really hot and they're one of the industry best. But with that, I would say Lightburn is also an industry best as well. It just doesn't have a lot of the bells and whistles that some of the things that Xtool does. So yeah, playing around with that, trying different shapes and colors. That's what it's all about, shapes and colors. So if you like shapes and colors and some of that cool stuff, give this video a like. I would appreciate it. Like and subscribe. That would help out with the YouTube algorithm and the YouTube gods. And maybe someday I'll get my channel monetized. I don't know. We'll see. But other than that, if you enjoy what's going on with the channel, be sure to send me a coffee. You can buy me a coffee. Hit the link in the description box down below. And I will appreciate that because I really like coffee as well. So if you buy me a coffee, you will be on the list of those I really appreciate. Yeah. Smooth transition. What do you think? That's spared no expense. But with that being said, with the new year coming up, it's 15 January. So yeah, getting close to, even though it is the new year in the United States, they have Lunar New Year here in Korea and other Asian countries, and that's coming up. So it's going to be a huge holiday. So we're getting ready for that. But yeah, this is some of the stuff that I do. It's an expat here, retired in Korea, and enjoying life and patiently waiting to get my new laser, which is going to be about 3 or 4 months down the road, unfortunately. So with that, I will bid you adieu, and we will see you on the next video. Peace.